Good morning, everybody. Monday. Ugh. I hate Mondays. Oh, golly, do I hate Mondays. But I do love coffee, so I'm so glad for the invention of coffee. Whoever invented coffee, thank you so much. I'm sure there's somebody out there who knows who invented coffee. Yes, let's get into this stream. So the Washington Commanders beat the Atlanta Falcons yesterday, 24-16. Brandon and I, we discussed this last night in our recording. You can watch that on the Washington Football Maniacs YouTube channel. It is up right now. Check it out. It's about 30 minutes. Yes, we talk for a long time because Brandon and I have a very good repertoire together, so we enjoy talking everything Washington Commanders. So check it out. You will enjoy it. But this is just to kind of recap. So, we were kind of discussing, and I will also say that I, for some reason, do not have my chats up, and I do not know why I have my chats are not up, folks. So I apologize for that. I cannot see my chats. So I'm not really ignoring you. I can't see them right now. I'll have to go to my YouTube channel and see if there's anybody out there who is actually chatting with me. But yeah, so we were kind of discussing some of the ups and downs, obviously, with the game yesterday, because definitely the biggest up is we won the game. We won the game. But Atlanta as well, their coaching staff kind of did some crazy things, right? I mean, for one thing, I don't fault them going for it on fourth down in the first half. They didn't get it. But I do fault Arthur Smith for going for two there in the fourth quarter. I really didn't understand that, because you would only be down by 7 points. And if you don't get the 2-point conversion, which they did not, now you're down by 8 points. Yes, it's still a one possession game, but now you're putting a lot more pressure on your team to have to score a touchdown and have to get a 2-point conversion. And as what Matt Ryan and the other analyst, Tiki Barber, and I can never remember the other guy, the analyst that is with them, but what they were talking about is you only have so many 2-point conversion plays in your bag of tricks. And they had basically burnt 2 of those on one try. And they didn't get in. So, I just don't see, personally, I would have kicked the extra point. You're down by a touchdown. Now, if you wanted to go for 2 points and go for the win, then that's a decision you could have made. But, and that's assuming you get the ball back, you're driving down for the go-ahead or the tie-in touchdown that could possibly be a go-ahead touchdown if you go for the 2 points. But, you're going for 2 points right there. You miss it. Now you're putting your team in a bind. I just, that was something that I just felt that the coaching staff for Atlanta failed on. The other, obviously, was not getting the calls in. And that was on the coaching staff. That wasn't on Desmond Ritter. That was on the coaching staff. They needed to get those plays in much faster, and there was two delay of game calls at crucial points of the game. Those things like that are things that you have to work on as a coaching staff. I don't fault Ritter for that, but it did put a lot of pressure on him because it forced him into a bad throw. He wound up throwing the pick. He wound up turning the ball over 3 times yesterday. So a lot of pressure put on Ritter. So I don't fault Desmond Ritter necessarily yesterday, but as well, I give a lot of credit to our defense. They played much better. I still would have liked to have seen a lot more pressure up front. Chase Young almost got there, but he just did not. He's still just a step behind, but he's getting close. He's getting there. I was kind of concerned with Montez Sweat going out with an injury to his thumb. Hopefully he should be fine. But, and then there was that injury. It was weird. It was that hand injury to Deron Payne. And they, insult to injury, they called a penalty on him. And I think what happened is he must have gotten cleated, and he probably fell over in pain, and so then they throw a flag on him for encroachment. Excuse me. And, I'm kind of like, come on, man. So he goes out for a play, comes back in. He's all taped up. He's fine. But overall, I would like to see a little bit more out of the defensive front, but we're getting there. We're slowly getting there. Now, secondary, we did not see Emmanuel Forbes. I think you'll see him a little bit more sprinkled back in. Now, Danny Johnson, he wound up getting, sealing the victory for us at the end. He didn't play error-free football. He had some passes on him. He had that PI, so it wasn't necessarily that he was completely error-free, but yeah, he played okay. He played fine. I think right now, it's good for Forbes to kind of just sit back, I think, and just kind of rest. Why not? I think they put a little bit of too much pressure on him at first, and honestly, it's probably a good thing to have Emmanuel Forbes being slowly injected back in, and maybe not put him so much on an island. Give him a little bit more help until he's ready to really get back in there and prove that he could do the man-to-man and all of that stuff, and he's not going to get burnt. I don't know. I don't want to give up on the guy just yet. Come on. We're only 6 games into the regular season here. So 6 games into his career. So let's give him a break. As you could hear, I am nasally. I am still sick. I've been sick for 3 weeks, so just bear with me. Thing is, if you're going to do podcast and YouTube, you got to do it whether if you're sick or not, right? Now, I like to read comments every now and then. So there was two really long comments from one particular person, Washington Commanders 5541. His first one was really long, and he's definitely defending Ron Rivera and company because he feels like we've been a little too hard on the coaching staff. He says, he's talking about our podcast from last night. He goes, suspect on getting pressure. Chase has the third, fourth highest pressure rate in the league. The secondary is starting to click here in week 6 as they do every year. And if the DL stays healthy, we are going to see those pressures turn to sacks since quarterbacks won't have an easy time finding an open man to beat the pressure. Also, the yards against the defense are tied to the offense's inability to sustain a drive of any kind in the second half. The defense gave up 174 yards and only 10 points in the first half before the 20 of the final 30 minutes of the game. I don't agree that the run-pass ratio needs to be more balanced at all times. In fact, I find it hilarious that a lot of the same people that were calling it Ron a dinosaur for saying he wanted 2-to-1 run-pass ratio are screaming for us to run the ball more now. Excuse me. All right. This is a very long, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but obviously he's very pro Ron. I just want to say, if you got to wait until this time of the year, you're almost getting into the middle part of the season and things start clicking at that point of the season, then there's something wrong. All right. You are in year 4 of your regime. Now think about it for a second. You're in year 4 of your regime and suddenly things are just now starting to click for you. That's a problem. All right, I can understand that in the first season, it takes until the middle of the season for things to start clicking. But by year 2, you should improve upon that. Year 3, you should continue to improve. And then by year 4, you're ready to compete for a championship. There's no reason why you should not be at that level. It should not take every single year for your team to start clicking halfway through the season. So I don't really get this post at all. No, come on, man. Come on. And Chase Young having the third or fourth highest pressure rate in the league. How many sacks has he had? I mean, he's gotten a couple of sacks. He's definitely playing. He's getting there. He's getting there. But he's not the Chase Young from 2020 just yet. I'm hoping he gets back to that point. But right now, I mean, Chase Young, he's a factor. Don't get me wrong. He is a factor. But at this point, if the season ended today, who would you rather have, Montez Sweat or Chase Young? I mean, I think Montez Sweat is probably a little bit more valuable. I mean, for Pete's sake, Casey Toohill had 2 sacks yesterday. Casey Toohill. So, this is year 4 of the regime. And then, he posts the second post like an hour after that. Ron's first season, we beat Dallas 25-3, and then 41-6 or 16 on Thanksgiving. We beat Tom Brady's Buccaneers 29-19. In 2021, we beat Philly last year. Houston by 13, Dallas by 20. We didn't let them walk. Shanahan wasn't staying after we fired his dad or stealing his dad's job. Okay, so he's talking about how, I know that was the point where Brandon was talking about how we kind of let some of the best coordinators leave. Certainly, Kyle Shanahan was not going to hang around. But we had chances that we probably could have kept Sean McVay. And we didn't. Matt LaFleur, we probably could have kept. McConnell, probably could have kept. But we chose not to. We let those guys go. And it's funny how, all those guys, McConnell's struggling this year, but all of those guys have flourished in the league. So, we've had some talent here at the coaching level, young, great minds. Excuse me. So I'm telling you, I think what we were trying to say is that we've had opportunities where we've had, just like we've had some great talent on the field playing that we have let go in the past, we've also had some great talent at coaches that we have let go that have went elsewhere and have, been very successful. And we have kept the lower talent level at coaching, because at the time, with the ownership, nobody wanted to come here. And now, hopefully, since we have new ownership, there would definitely be changes. So, this guy's like, let Ron finish his thing. This disaster that our franchise is worth the full 5-year plan. It's not going to happen, because here's the thing. The ownership is evaluating things from top to bottom. Okay. And the ownership is going to be making changes. They're going to be making changes in the front office. It's going to start there. Front office is going to decide who the next coaching staff is going to be. Ron has had 4 years. The 5th year would be a lame duck year as head coach. He looks like he's already checked out, to be honest with you. So, he goes on to talk about how, Ron has changed the culture and stuff. And I'll give Ron credit on that. I think Ron has changed. I think, especially in the beginning, I think the culture had changed. So it's not that Ron has not done anything good. I'm not saying that at all. I think Ron has done some good things in Washington, but he's gotten them to Norv Turner level. All right. When you're 500, what does that do for you? Doesn't get you into the playoffs. Doesn't get you into the Super Bowl. What we want are championships. And that's what you should be reaching for. You want a coaching staff that's going to give you championships. It's at least the potential. And that's what we need to be striving for. So, you know, how much of a rope are you willing to give? You know, Norv Turner, back in the 90s, they gave him a long time. I mean, he was the coach for 6 or 7 years. And during those years, finally, in 99, they made the playoffs. It took until 1999 for them to make the playoffs. And they were a missed field goal away from making the NFC Championship game. But then the very next year, halfway through, they crumbled. And then, of course, he was let go. But that was a long time. And there were a lot of, like, I remember the year or two before that playoff year, they were like 8-1. I thought they were going to the Super Bowl, and then they crumbled. So, I don't know. How much rope are you willing to give a coach? How long does it take? It's not taking the coach up in Detroit long at all. Look at what Detroit's doing. Second year into his existence up there, they're 5-1. They're leading the NFC North. I mean, that team is a team to be reckoned with. So you see teams like that. Why do you think it needs to take 5 years for Washington? The thing is, it's taken more than 5 years. It's taken since the 90s for this team to be a championship caliber team. So, no, I'm willing to move on if it means finding a coach that is willing or has the talent to really honestly put us into that column of Super Bowl contenders. So I love Ron Rivera. I do. I love Ron Rivera. But I think as a coach, I don't know. I just think he's done. I think he's done in Washington. Hey, folks, I've got to cut the stream. It's time for me to go to work. Unless you guys want to really start supporting this channel and make this to where it's my full time, which would be awesome, I've actually got to go earn some real money. So, but for those who have tuned in, thank you for tuning in. This, of course, this recording will be on the channel, so feel free to watch the recording and watch the recording from Brandon and I's. Wow. English is not very good for me today. I don't know why. Brandon and my video that we recorded from last night. That said, I hope you guys have a great day. It's Monday, but it's okay. All right. Take care.